Hello and welcome to the Red5 Developer Series. My name is Dominic Agatato and I'm the CTO and one of the founders of Red5. In a previous session we learned how to start Red5 from the terminal. We started Red5 from within Eclipse and we learned how to debug Red5 remotely. In this session and forward sessions we are going to introduce you to the Red5 plugin, which will help you create, build, and debug Red5 applications. So let's quickly discuss some of the features that the Red5 plugin provides. It provides code generation, and it does this by using a wizard, and what it will create is a client-side and a server-side application that has some boilerplate code which will aid you and help you move quicker towards building Red5 applications. The second thing it does is it runs and debugs a Red5 application from within Eclipse. And we showed how to debug applications from within Eclipse before. However, the plugin actually gives you a Red5 runtime, and it gives you server configurations, and it allows you to run it more efficiently as you're building these applications. It also allows you to create multiple server configurations so that you can deploy applications to possibly different distributions from within the IDE. And last, it adds the Red5 facet to your project so you can build against the Red5 APIs. All these features are going to allow you to have a more productive Red5 application development environment. So if you haven't already installed the plugin, you should do so now. And you can go to the red5.org page and click on the Red5 plugin link. And that's up here in the top left-hand corner. And instructions are given on how to install the plugin into Eclipse. And the last thing you should do is you should pay attention to the prerequisite software up at the top. You actually have to have a JE distribution of Eclipse. You can't have the standard Eclipse because the Red5 plugin is built against the WebTools platform, and that provides us to extend a lot of their wizards and other stuff that helps build applications. So after you've installed the plugin, you should fire up Eclipse. So we're going to go to the workspace that we've been working with previously. And you should make sure that you're in the Java EE perspective. And from here, you can let's create our first Red5 plugin application by right-clicking in the Project Explorer. Click New, Dynamic Web Project. Let's give our application a name. And the next thing you should notice is that there is a target runtime, and currently there is none. So what we're going to do is create a runtime, click New, expand Infrared 5, and click Red5 Server Runtime. From here, make sure that your default JRE is a 1.6 JVM. Mine is, so I'm going to leave it as default. And my Red5 location is not in my applications directory, so I'm going to use the distribution that we created in a previous step. So mine is in Documents, Workspace, Red5 Course, Red5 Dist, and then my revision. So I'm going to paste this directory in here. Let's see here. And click Finish. And for the configuration, I'm going to modify that. And I want to make sure that I have Red5 Application Generation selected. And you can just click on Runtime and you'll make sure that Red5 Server Runtime is selected, which it will be by default. Click Next, Finish. For me, I'm using the latest Flex Builder, so I'm going to say Flex 4.0 SDK is fine. What you've just created are two new projects in your workspace, My App and My App Client. Now the My App is the server-side portion of the application, and My App Client is the client side. And if you open up the source directory for the client, you'll notice that there's an MXML file in there. And if you have Flex Builder installed, it will open up. If you don't, you could still open it up in an XML editor, but it needs Flex Builder to compile, or you would need the SDK. So all we're doing here, for people that don't understand Flex, is we're listening for the Flex Framework creation complete event to be fired. And when that happens, all we do is we create a new net connection, and we're connecting to my app, which again is the server-side application that we created. And after it connects, we either listen for a successful connection or an unsuccessful connection, and we just alert the user what happened. So there's some boilerplate code here that you can use to start building Red5 applications. The other thing you should look at is the server-side portion that was generated. And this is your typical servlet application, and inside the webinf folder you'll see your web.xml file, and then there's two more specific Red5 files. There's the Red5-web.xml file, which is a bean configuration file, and this is used by Spring to load up some classes, and Red5 is built with Spring, so this is how we build our Red5 server-side applications. Down here is an important bean. This is your web.handler bean, which is your main entry point from the client. And in this case, it's pointing to org.red5.core.application. So if I expand the Java source folder, you'll notice that a very basic application adapter file was created for you by the Red5 plugin. And it has both a connect and a disconnect method. And you could start to add some more methods here and start to build out your application. But again, the Red5 plugin basically just generates you some very simple code that you can take and run with and start building your own Red5 applications. The next thing we want to do is we want to run the My App from the Red5 plugin. So just go right-click on it and run as, run on server. From here, we're going to choose the Red5 server runtime, and we'll choose the server runtime that we created in a previous step, and click next. And we don't have our Red5 distribution in the applications folder, so again, I'm going to paste in my distribution folder for my start script, my stop script, and if you screw this up, it'll tell you. Eclipse will warn you. Like for instance, if I add a W here, you'll notice that there's a little error. So I know that these directories are correct. Click next. My app is already one of the configured projects. Click finish. And so at this point, it copies over, and at this point, in a previous step, or a previous session, we actually turned on Red5 so that it would listen for a remote debugging session. So I'm going to stop this, click OK. That won't typically happen unless you've actually modified the configuration file. But you can go into the Red5 debug.shell file if that does happen. Let's open it up. And suspend equals Y, I want to change it to N. By default, it is on N, but again, in a previous lesson, we went over that and we showed how to remotely debug. So now we should be able to go back in here and start it up in debug mode. So Red5 is now debugging, and we can tell that it deployed the application because if we go into the web apps directory, there is my app. And the next thing we want to do is let's minimize the server-side application, and let's right-click on the client-side application and say Run As Web Application. The client will load up, and it just connected successfully to the server, so it prompted us and let us know. So to recap this lesson, what we did was we used the Red5 plugin to run and debug Red5 applications from within Eclipse. I showed you how to generate server-side and client-side code, and we showed a very basic client that connected to Red5 and let us know that we were successfully connecting to a Red5 application. In the next lessons and future lessons, we'll start to go a little bit more into application development and start to use some of the server-side and client-side APIs that allow you to build real-time, multimedia applications. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.